Explore your local environment and ecosystems. Reap the benefits of being active and outdoors while enjoying nature. Hiking is an excellent way to exercise and get your vitamin D. I'm Nova Zenith, and you are listening to On the Ear, where we podcast with personality. In this podcast, we'll go over places to hike around the Tri-Cities. Trail maps and driving maps are linked in the description, or you can use the link bit.ly/HHS On The Ear hikes. So let's start with mountainous hikes. Hiking is a great way to exercise your lower body since hiking up and then down provides a pretty complete workout. The first mountain hike is one that is well known by locals. Badger Mountain is in South Richland, right next to the neighborhood. On the mountain, there aren't many trees. It's instead covered by sagebrush, grass, wildflowers, and some tumbleweed. The top affords an amazing view of the Tri-Cities and the Columbia River, and it's a pretty popular spot. There's usually a good number of people there, so it might not be your choice during social distancing. There are two places to start from: the Trailhead Park, which is the most commonly used starting point. It even has a little playground, and the Westgate parking lot. There are many different trails you can take. The Badger Flats Trail, which is a short loop at the foot of the mountain, no elevation gain, about half a mile. Or the Trailhead Park Loop, which is consisting of the Canyon Trail, which is a steeper trail that goes up relatively straight up the mountain, and the Sagebrush Trail that winds up the east side of the mountain and is less steep. Hike along the mountain ridge using the Skyline Trail and then loop back to the southeastern end using the Langdon Trail and merge back to the Sagebrush Trail to get back to the park. This is definitely harder than the Trailhead Park Loop, but it does have some wonderful views. Candy Mountain's environment is very similar to Badger Mountain. It's also really close. It's pretty popular, not as popular though. Along the trail, there are signs that point out different native plant species, so that's pretty cool. And from the parking lot, the first part of the trail is pretty flat until you reach the mountain, or really the hill. On the flat bit, there's actually a part where there's a fork in the road. It doesn't matter which way you take since they go to the same place, and I would recommend going up one way and back the other. There's only one trail, and the hike is about 3.5 miles long round trip and takes around an hour. McBe Hill is a pretty difficult hike in comparison with the others previously listed. It's pretty close to Benton City, and there's not a lot of people there. It has one main loop. On the right, the trail is a steep climb up the mountain, while on the left, it winds back and forth, so it's less steep. There are lots of butterflies on the not as steep trail when I went, and it was pretty cool. The entire loop is about 4 miles, and it might take about 2 to 3 hours. If you are looking for something very different, you've tried out all these hikes that we've listed, you might want to go to Rattlesnake Mountain for the change of scenery. It is northwest of the Horn Rapids and overlooks the Hanford Reach area. Just be aware, it does require a Discover Pass for parking. There aren't many people here either. Its climate is very dusty. It's pretty hot. There's not a lot of shade, so I would recommend going on a cool day or overcast day. Bring some water. It's a gradual ascent up to a flat area where there's a lot of different trails, but the main loop is about 5.5 miles long. On the left side of the loop, just a warning, there is a pretty sandy sand dune-like area, and you might get some sandy shoes. Now on to the nature preserves and flatter hikes. A personal favorite of mine would be the Chamna Natural Preserve. It has a large variety of different trails. For example, the river trail, which is right against the river with lots of trees and shade, or the Chamna trail, which is highlighted in yellow and is in the sun and closer to the road. An idea for a hike would be following the river trail or the Jackrabbit Trail all the way to the Forest Service Road and take the Peninsula Loop Trail and take the Chamna Trail back to your main trailhead. A little warning, sometimes the Peninsula Loop Trail can get blocked with water if it rained beforehand. The Riverfront Trail is pretty well known and popular in the Tri-Cities. It runs along the Columbia River in Richland, passing through 3 main parks. It's less of a hike though and more of a walk. It's a paved trail, so there are usually a lot of people walking, running, biking, skateboarding. You can start at any point along the trail that you like, and it passes from Columbia Point Park to Howard Haven Park to Leslie Groves Park. And if you want, at the very northern end of Leslie Groves Park, you can keep going north through the neighborhood and then go to the path that continues along the river next to WSU, past P&L, and to the Submarine Monument. There are little mileage markings. That's at mile 0.0 at the southern end of Columbia Point Park. Okay, and for our last flatter hike, Sacajawea Heritage Trail. It's a loop around Richland, Pasco, and Kennewick, the Tri-Cities, and it crosses the Columbia and Yakima rivers. It's also a paved loop, and it does connect to the Riverfront Trail via the Columbia Point Park. It's very great for walking little bits of, biking, running, and scootering. Okay, so those are some basic spots to hike or take a walk around the Tri-Cities. The trail maps are linked in the description, or you can use the link bit.ly/HHS On The Ear hikes. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel for more podcasts or follow our Instagram at HHS On The Ear. Thanks for listening and have a great hike. Don't forget to bring some water and check the weather forecast. This is Nova Zenith, and we are now off the ear.